The first era, the pre-war era, I think Britain was much more Commonwealth focused in its FDI. In particular, it tried to develop infrastructure in the Commonwealth to kind of create a market for its goods. It also relied more heavily on portfolio investment. This was a more hands-off version of FDI. In the post-war period, Britain drops down to the second highest amount of FDI. And it also shifts its attention away from Commonwealth countries to European countries.
There were a number of reasons for this drive in globalisation. There was the new communications revolution, which lowered costs, liberalisation of economic systems, markets and information. In turn, there was the growth and influence of transnational regulatory bodies, such as NAFTA. There was a rapid growth in international trade of goods, services, money and information. The MNCs diffused ideas, technology and practices, and there was a change in the structure of demand and changing cultures as well. So I answered, when did new growth in world trade begin to grow fastest and why?
So globalisation brought about increased competition, and this led to closure of the uncompetitive British firms due to the rise of low-cost competitors, for example, low competitive cotton in India as opposed to Lancashire. And to force firms to be competitive, Thatcher's government promoted privatisation, which led to further unemployment, as they are often, the reason they were uncompetitive is because they were overmanned and with very low productivity of labour.
These are some reasons, I feel, which outline why India wasn't able to successfully build a software business in the 80s, but it has done so now. I think the first barrier was there was a lot of protectionism in the Indian economy, and it only achieved liberalisation in the early 90s by Manmohan Singh, who was the economics minister back then. I believe he's Prime Minister now. So that was a big factor that allowed a lot of FDI to come in and really sort of improve that industry, and allowed firms to become more competitive as they had to deal with external competition. They were only exposed to the domestic market beforehand. Aside from that, there was a great deal of spending in education back then, but obviously there's a large time lag associated with education. So now institutions such as IIT, IIM, the Indian Institutes of Technology and Management, are now considered leading educational facilities, but it requires a 20-year period or so for them to.
And I think that wraps it up.